Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our third installment of Baseball on the Island Weekly. I'm your host, Vinny Messana, and I'm here with our reporter, Nakeem Grant. We have a great program in store for you this evening. We'll also have a special guest, but first we're going to talk about our biggest storyline from the weekend, and that's Stony Brook's huge series win against America East foe UMBC. Despite losing the final game in extra innings today, they swept the doubleheader yesterday by the scores of 4-1 and 3-2. In the first game, Chad Lee continued his remarkable season. He fired 8 strong innings, allowing just 1 run, and actually slightly rose his ERA to 1.02 for the season. The sidewinding Teddy Ratliff came in for the save and worked around a hit to record the save for number 6 of the season. David Real had 2 hits and scored 2 runs. He and Bobby Honeyman scored on an error by the shortstop in the 6th inning, which proved to be the difference in the ballgame. In the second game of the Twin Bill, freshman Brett Clark threw 5 strong innings, allowing just 1 earned run with 10 strikeouts. He left with the score tied 1-1, and Aaron Pinto came on in relief. In the top of the 6th inning, Hunter Dolshin drove in the go-ahead run to put up UMBC 2-1. But in the bottom of the 7th inning, the Seawolves answered back. After a leadoff double by Dylan Resk and a walk to Casey Baker, Johnny Caputo moved both runners up with a sacrifice bunt, and Bobby Honeyman singled to center to tie the ball game up. Next batter was David Real, the pinch hitter. He stepped up and lined a single to right field for the walk-off hit to give the Seawolves the improbable victory. The victory improved their America East Conference record to 9-4 and moved them into second place in the standings behind Binghamton. They hosted UMBC as well today. They lost in extra innings, but they remain in good position to qualify for a postseason berth. We're going to take a quick break for a message from our sponsor, and when we return, we'll be joined by our special guest.
Baseball on the Island is sponsored by Mediterranean Manor, located in Patchogue, New York.
Welcome back, everybody. For our next segment, we'll be discussing Molloy and Dowling's weekend series. For that, we'll bring in our special guest, and that's Molloy's ace, Ron Bauer. Ron is leading the ECC and ERA at 0.91. So, Ron, first off, thank you very much for coming down, and congrats on a great 2016 season to this point.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and I want to thank you guys for the great job you're doing, covering Long Island baseball. For us, that means a lot, so thank you.
Thank you, Ron. I appreciate it. So first question, I just want to say I noticed that you have an uncanny ability about escaping jams without allowing any runs, and is that something you've always been able to do?
I mean, I wish I didn't have to get out of so many jams, but yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, when I get into a jam, sometimes I put myself in it with, I walk a few too many guys. So sometimes I have to get out of it myself, and I try to stay calm and, trust the defense behind you to put the ball in play, and, they'll do the job because we have very good defense. So I just try to stay calm and relaxed, and so far this year it's been working.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And can you talk a bit more about that defense, considering the fact that they've turned a lot of double play balls for you, and can you talk about just the confidence that you have having those veteran infielders behind you?
Definitely. I think we have the best infield in our conference. Between up the middle, we have Mike Ron, Brian Murphy, and then our corners are ridiculous defensively. We have Kevin Podell third, and then Angelo Nevada at first, and
who people can't stop raving about, by the way.
He's literally the best first baseman I've ever played with, and I played with some amazing first basemen. The kid makes ridiculous plays with routine, and honestly, having him at first base, knowing that he can, help a weak throw, or he makes scoops look like it's nothing. So having him there it gives me a ton of confidence.
Mm-hmm. And the offense this year, as we've alluded to earlier, has been pretty incredible. They have 6 regulars hitting over 300. So what's it like going to the mound knowing that you don't need to throw a shutout, even though you have this season, that you don't have to throw a shutout to win the ball game?
Yeah, I mean, again, it just gives you so much confidence that you can go out there and maybe you don't have your A game that day. You let up a run here, run there, but your team can score 10 runs. Our offense has been that strong at points in the year, and 6 people over 300. That's just, again, it's just to give me confidence when I'm out there that I don't have to throw a shutout, like you said, and just again, ridiculous offense from everybody. Everybody knows their role and they're confident, and we're hitting the ball very well.
And not to be the dead horse with Angelo, but he has been worthy of the hype. But he's leading the ECC in hitting. I believe he went all the way down to 389 recently.
All the way
So,
down, yeah.
talk a little bit about what you've seen from him in his 2-year career here.
Oh, he's never overmatched. You know, he's always balanced. He fights off pitches that are maybe the pitcher's best pitch they throw. He'll foul it off, and that's, as a pitcher, that's very discouraging. If you throw your best pitch 0-2 and he just fouls it off like it's nothing. Now in your head you're like, oh my God, that was the best pitch I had. So I mean, it's just, he's unbelievable. He's always balanced. He always looked like he's in the command of the at bat. And again, he's just ridiculous. 386 or whatever you just said. That's amazing.
And speaking of pitching, you've had your best stuff this season. 7-0, your ERA's under 1. Can you talk about what adjustments did you make compared to last season, considering the fact that you've had such a huge jump from the season before?
Oh yeah, definitely. Honestly, the biggest thing for me was just the experience because again, freshman year I didn't pitch a single inning. I was a hitter. So my sophomore year was honestly my freshman year as a pitcher. So just being a little nervous when you're out there. It's your first year, and I'm trying to become more of a pitcher now. It was my first year. I was more of a thrower. I was trying to strike everybody out. But through my pitching coach, Mike Callahan, really just stressing to me, pitch to contact. You don't have to strike everybody out. Again, trust your great defense that you have, and I mean that's the biggest adjustment that I made.
Now, despite you guys' great start to the season, you already have 28 wins. There's still quite a bit of traffic on top of the ECC standings. So, can you talk a little bit about the competitive nature of the conference?
Our conference is so evenly talented. Any team can beat any team any weekend. I don't think there's been a sweep yet. And that's not normal. Usually
it says a lot about
there's a powerhouse team that can sweep 2 or 3 of the teams in the conference. We don't have that. Everybody has talent, and everybody sneaks a win or 2 from everybody. There's a lot of splits. We just split again with Dowling this weekend. Very good team, and that's just our conference. A ton of great talent throughout.
Now, you spoke a bit earlier about the transition from being a position player to primarily a pitcher. Can you talk about the differences in that transition and what stands out the most and how you've adjusted to being a full-time pitcher now?
Which, by the way, he did lead the team in hitting as a freshman, so I'll give him credit where credit is due.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I mean, the biggest difference for me is not being able to play every day. For me, my whole life I've been an everyday player. I've been going both ways between being a shortstop, second baseman, and then pitching. I've always done both. So for me to only get a chance to help the team once a week win a game is it's different. I'm getting used to it. You go through that 6-day routine of getting ready for your start, and it's just a little different. Not being on the field every day, helping your team win, but I'm getting used to it.
I'm sure you didn't mind not being in the rain today, though.
No, definitely. I got a hoodie on and all that. And hiding in the dugout from the
That's true.
Exactly.
Well, Ron, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate the insight. And, again, you did a terrific job this season, and I look forward to watching you the rest of the way. And best of luck.
Thank you for everything.
No problem.
Best of luck, man.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a quick break for a message from our sponsors, and when we come back, we're going to talk about our next storyline from the weekend.
Baseball on the Island is sponsored by National Scouting Report, the world's leading authority in recruiting student athletes to college since 1980.
Welcome back to Baseball on the Island Weekly. Our next storyline is the emergence of Dowling College. So after starting the year at 0-6, they look dead in the water, but now they've caught fire and they're right back in the thick of the ECC standings. They've been led by a resurgent offense sparked by catcher Michael Rizzatello, R.J. Going, and Robert Morse. So Nakeem was at the game today to watch them against Molloy. You got to see them firsthand. So what were they able to do offensively to put up runs against a tough Molloy pitching staff?
Well, they were able to, put the ball in play and put a lot of pressure on Molloy's great defense. It started with the top of the lineup today with the Going brothers, Tim and RJ. They both had 2 hits and they both scored 2 runs. And so they were able to get things going for the rest of their offense. Getting runners in scoring position. They utilized a lot of different baseball plays, such as the squeeze play a couple times, and it really threw Molloy's defense out of order, which is unusual to say the least.
That's for sure. Now, they could pitch as well. Freshman Chris Cepeda was on the mound today, and he's from Ward Melville, graduated in 2013. I watched him pitch. He's got a very funky delivery, but he still has good stuff for a guy that has that kind of delivery. So what did you like out of him today?
Well, he was able to attack Molloy's impressive lineup. He was coming with strike after strike. He utilized both his fastball and his off-speed pitches. He kept the ball down in the zone. and overall his confidence on the mound was just outstanding. The fact that he was able to go against Molloy's great lineup and not falter to their great lineup, despite the fact that he got out of 3 bases loaded jams during the ball game, which was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I believe he only gave up 1 run during those bases loaded situations, and so to have that amount of confidence as a freshman, as you alluded to, is pretty impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. And I saw that kind of toughness. He shut down Massapequa in the Long Island Championship game in 2013 at Dowling, ironically. So we know what he's made of. But they're also built around a strong middle infield defense. Rob Costanzo and R.J. Going, as you mentioned. Did they flash some leather today?
Oh, yeah, they turned a big double play that helped them to end a potential big inning for Molloy. And so, they did make all the routine plays, and they looked real sharp up the middle, to say the least.
Very interesting. Well, Nakeem, thank you very much for your insight. I always appreciate, you going out to games and, showing your knowledge of the game, and as a writer, obviously. So thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Not a problem. And that concludes this week's episode of Baseball on the Island Weekly. I just want to thank our viewers for tuning in last week, where we exceeded the number of viewers from the first week by 200. So I was very glad about that. We hope to continue this on a weekly basis. Next week, actually, we'll take off for Mother's Day, but we'll continue after that. So, as always, make sure to tune in to baseballonisland.com, where you could check out the latest news on a daily basis from all local news pertaining to high school and college baseball here on Long Island, as well as our Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram feeds for the up-to-the-minute updates. So, I'm Vinny Messana, your host, and have a good night.